So I'm so excited that you're here with me today. This is a topic that I'm very, very passionate about because it really works. And I will show you some data at the end, some qualitative data. And I learned my data from all of my great colleague and friend, Dr. Stephanie Hild. So I did add that today just so that you can see how this is working in my classroom. So super excited that you're here. I know that everyone here works with a different age, stage, range of people, families, older students, younger students. So I want you to remember that whoever you work with, make this work for you, because social media is something that's innovative and something that is not going away. So I just want you to remember that no matter who you work with, you can use social media to influence not only those people, but other colleagues and peers that you work with, because there's so many people out there that you can get to know. So thank you so much for being here, and let's go ahead and get started. I'm going to turn off my camera. Okay, so welcome. And today we are going to be talking about how to use social media with your families that you work with. And don't forget that you can make this work for any age that you are working with. And the world is ever changing, right? So we must be innovative, forward thinking, and figure out ways to communicate and get information and ideas out to those that we're working with. So there are so many ways that we can do this, and social media is one that we should be using. And I'm going to give you some facts and data today about why. Because our families and students are using social media is the biggest one, right? So if you are afraid of using this type of communication, I hope today you will find at least one thing that you want to try. And I found last night, social media marketing said that 4 in every 5 college students say that digital technology has been instrumental in improving their grades. So there you are for the older people. And then it also stated that families are using social media and that communication is becoming great. Okay. So as we talk today, I want you to think about one thing different that you can do to work with your students, your families, and even the colleagues and peers. So now that we've talked a little bit about social media, how you use it is completely up to you. But I am going to share some that have worked for me and tell you why they're important to me and give you some ideas about how you might want to begin using them. And at the end, I will take any questions that you have, and I will always be here if you want me to help you set something up or if you're in need of help. So you must remember to keep your personal and professional social media accounts completely separate. You need a username that's professional in nature and tells about who you are. So most of mine are titles such as child development, busy classroom, Dr. Shipley, early childhood, things and titles like that, so that people know and they can Google you and they know who they're looking for. And it's a common theme. All of my things are in education and early childhood. You also need to know what your purpose is and what you're going to share. It needs to have meaning and a reason behind the resource. But honestly, again, it's yours, so you can share whatever you want. You're the professional, but it does need to be about what you're doing. So like mine might share play ideas, curriculum, STEAM ideas, cooking at home with your students. You need to decide what your theme is going to be, so when people begin following you and sharing things that you are, creating and sharing, they will know what you are about. So think about what you're teaching and think about what you're sharing and think about who your audience is. Social media helps you build relationships outside the classroom. So if you're teaching adults, it gives them another avenue to learn and build a team with other professionals. If you're teaching young children, it gives your families the opportunity to see what you're doing inside your classroom community, the activities that you're doing. You can share pictures, lessons, anything that is important to you that you want to share. But it also puts out there and allows them to connect with you on a different level. So think about that, the kind of relationship that you can build. So for example, if you're only sending home notes, they aren't seeing the you. They aren't hearing your voice. They don't know you as that person, your child, their child learns from every day, right? So it's the same as if you're teaching adult learners. They want to see the real you. So I would never tell you to get rid of the original communications or the face-to-face engagement. You still need to do all of those great things that you're already doing with your students and your families. Social media just gives families and students another outlet to learn from and to learn about you, to find resources and ideas and be able to connect with other professionals and just truly get information, because we know that social media right now is the fastest form of communication, right? So it was stated by the UAGC Forward Thinking blog in 2020 that not only can social media in the classroom create more collaborative and creative work from students, it can also help students identify real-world applications for the social media tools that they already use. So when you as the teacher are using social media platforms and engaging with your students in and outside your classroom, it allows students to participate directly in their own learning rather than passively absorbing information, right? So it's the same thing with the families that you work with. You want to have that two-way reciprocal relationship anytime that you can. So strive to have as many ways of communication when you're teaching and working with families as possible. The people you work with will appreciate it. The families, the students, and if you're working with older high school students, they will think that it's cool that their teacher is on social media and sharing resources that help them learn. So we're going to dig into the nitty-gritty now, and I'm going to share some of my sites with you that have worked and why. So for my first social media that I started, it was a long time ago, probably about 10 years now. I started my website. And my website was made through Weebly because I wanted something that was free, and Weebly provides a free resource, and the tech support is amazing. I have called and talked to them many times. It's so easy to set up. It's easy to add pages and pictures, and you can truly do whatever you want on your website. It takes a while to set up. I'm not going to tell you that it doesn't. It probably took me a year to get mine going, and mine's far from perfect still because I do it all myself. I change everything myself. I don't have other people that do this for me. So it's always ever changing. And again, it's not perfect. So the pages that I used with families when I was teaching, like what are you learning at school this week? Important dates that are happening, resources, maybe a homework page, websites for children and families that are engaging, pictures of students engaged, playing, learning, counting, doing videos, assessment strategies that I was using, and then things to work on at home. So working with adults, it's more modeling how to set up the website, sharing things with them that they can do in their classroom, like how to cook in the classroom, how to use children's literature for engaging lessons, lesson plans, and things that they can take and use in their classroom the next day. So it's really modeling how to have a professional website that they can use to build relationships with their families, showing them that I can do it, they can do it. So remember, it's your website, and whatever you find beneficial to share, add a page, use that, share it out with the families and the students you work with. So the website is one that took a longer time to put together, but to me was totally worth it in the end. You will not have any regrets having the organization and just that link that you can share out with your students or your families to show them what you've done or resources that you are working on. Okay, my blog is next. And I know blogging right now is a big thing. I don't blog as much as I should, but I try to blog at least once a month. Blogging for me is more of sharing ideas, sharing things that I'm finding. And as a teacher, you can blog about all of the things that are going on in your classroom or the resources you are finding that are beneficial. So again, whatever hot topics are going on in the world of education is what you would blog about, or what's going on in your classroom community. So my blog is actually attached to my Weebly website. So it's right there, and it's a link that can be shared straight out, and it also brings them to my website. So if you choose to have a standalone blog, that is completely fine. You can blog through Weebly and not have a website, or you can have both. It's totally up to you how you want to organize it. And that's the great thing about all of these different avenues. It is all up to you. You get to choose. So these are a few things that I have blogged about in the past that have made a difference, and people have asked me to write about them more often. And on my blog, I actually have it to where people can comment and talk about different things that they found in the blog that helped them. And you can also do that so you can get that feedback. Right now, I write more articles on topics and I publish them on education websites just because I do teach at the college level, but I also go back and I share those on my blog so that my students and families can also see right there on my blog, and it logs straight out to that resource on that website that I've linked it on. But blogging along on your professional website works however you want to do it. Blogging is an amazing tool right now, and it's kind of like a journal that you can go back to and visit. Where was I at this place a year ago? So this is my Twitter account, and you can see that it's called @ChildDevelopment, and I've had it forever. You can see that when I first started, I had no idea what I was going to use Twitter for. But Twitter is among the top 3 social networking apps in the United States. Did you know that? And right now it has close to 400 million users. So how do we not use it to benefit our families and our students, right? We have to use these things that have 400 million people using them. So I use Twitter a lot to network with other professionals, to get ideas, to share my ideas, to tweet other people and their resources out. But you can also use it to share resources and ideas with your families and the students that you work with. It's super easy to set up and to find people that share the same common interests as you do. And so mine's early childhood, so I follow a lot of early childhood people. It's great to be able to learn from others that may be in the same situation you are. And again, it's all about teaching your older students how to network, how to find those other colleagues and peers and people that have the same interests that they have. When you're working with families and children, you want to be able to tweet things on here so that your families can get other resources, right? So these are a few things about Twitter that help you bridge that school and home gap, or bridge that gap with your adult students to give them another avenue to build that brand that they have, and also share with those families. So Twitter helps pair you with other teachers, administrators, staff, and families that want to learn more, that don't want to create the wheel and will share ideas. That's where you can get those. It's one of the easier ones to set up and share. And Twitter also has a unique opportunity to enable you to be able to pull and collect feedback so that you can do this with your families or your students, and you can actually do this in real time. So you could do it during one of your classes that you're teaching and have them jump on, because you do not have to be on Twitter to be able to open up Twitter and engage in these things. So Twitter is one avenue that is really cool. And again, it's up to every second they're updating with new and updated information and resources and ideas. And the people that you follow, you really learn from them. Okay, this is my Instagram. It's called Dr. Shipley. And on here, I share all sorts of pictures, quotes, crafts, lessons, anything. I can share anything that I want on here, because we know that Instagram is something that you can simply scroll through and stop right when you find something that you really like. So currently there are 1.386 billion people using Instagram. So we know that there are so many people that are using this avenue to share ideas. You can also do live stories from your classroom. You can share highlights. You can post pictures. You can post lessons. You can do anything you want on Instagram. So you can make it private and only add the families or the students that you're working with. Whatever you want to do with your page is up to you. The opportunities are endless. I know if you do a live, it will alert your students or your families, and they can jump on and see what you're doing, or see what their student is doing, which is so cool, because it's like you have that real interaction with them. So there are so many teachers that are using this, and then I follow them, and it is fun to see what they're doing live in their classrooms. But I want to stop right here and remind you that you must never forget, when you are using these, you have to get permission from your administration, and you must keep it private if that's what they want you to do, and only share with the families that are in your classroom. And then you would delete those and start over the next year. Not all the things that you've posted, but just the family profiles. If you're just sharing something generic like I have here, I think that it's okay to be public. You will want to ask. But if you are sharing any live videos or any highlights, you will need to have permission, and that will need to be okayed through your school administrators. So Pinterest to me is a place to organize all of your great and professional ideas. So you can see that mine's called Dr. Shipley. It links out to my early childhood website, which is busyclassroom.weebly.com. I have over 45 boards for my families, and you can do the same for the students or the families that you work with. The topics you choose would depend on who you're making the board for, okay? So I have boards like family engagement, Montessori education, math activities, children's literature, science centers, cooking. You can do whatever you want, whatever works with who you're working for right now. You can get your ideas from others and use their pins. You can share your ideas and other people are pinning your ideas. It is a huge place to share professional thoughts and resources because there are other people out there that want to, again, not recreate the wheel. Why aren't we using what other people are being successful at? Okay, and again, how can we not use Pinterest when there are 444 million monthly active users worldwide? That's a lot of people using Pinterest. And with that many people, if you're making boards to help your families at home, it is an easy, reliable resource to share with them because they are activities that you would recommend them to use, activities that you would use in your classroom. For your adult learners, what are you teaching? What can you pin on your boards? How can you help them with their assignments? How can you help them be better and do better? Next is my Busy Classroom Facebook page. It's Facebook, something that we're all aware of, right? And many or most of us use it, and most of the people that we know are using it. If they're not, they're using another avenue that we're talking about today. Right now, there are 2.91 billion monthly active users on Facebook. That's a lot of people. I share the same things on Facebook as I do on my other sites, so that much of the same information is in each place. So if I have someone on Facebook, they get to see it. If they're not on Facebook, but they're on Instagram, they see it there because we want to have as many people finding us in different places so that we have that information out there. I want you to know you can also link your different sites. So Facebook can be linked to Twitter and Twitter can be linked to Instagram. Some of these places are buying each other. So when you do that, then when you share, you can also say, share straight to my Facebook, share straight to my Instagram. And then they are all going to your different sites. So you're not having to log into each one. You can also do a Facebook Live and share what you're doing in your classroom. Again, have a private account and add only those families. Again, it's a great way to have that open door policy without the families actually being in your classroom because we know families are busy and they can't come in. And with COVID, no one was allowed in. So I do follow a lot of really cool teachers on Facebook that have their Facebook Lives daily. And it's really neat to see what they're doing in their classrooms. And I know that the families truly, truly appreciate these things. And again, how can you use this with your adult learners? I do it the same. I share all of my different ideas and just post it to my Facebook. So LinkedIn is one that I always said I would never use. And I've had it for about 10 years now. And the funny thing is, this is how my husband and I reconnected after high school. So it was right when I started it back up. But currently there are 800 million members on LinkedIn. Again, that's a huge number. This is a place for you to show your professional self. And I have one so that I can network, find other professionals to share ideas with, invite them to be on the Early Childhood podcast, and even present at our Early Childhood conference that we have. But your LinkedIn shows your professional footprint. It shows your students and your families that you are a professional. This is what you are doing and sharing, and this is how you want to be seen. You want to be seen as a professional. Okay, so truly professional place to be, to share. If you're working with older students, you want to model for them how to have this professional footprint and presence as they move forward. This is how people are finding jobs. This is how people that are looking for great workers are finding people. So it's a great place that it's like an online resume too. So we want to share this with our adult students, and we want to share this with our families. So my next resource is YouTube. Currently, there are 2.29 billion people using YouTube. So think about, when's the last time you got on YouTube? I know I got on YouTube last night when I was outside decorating for Christmas. I had YouTube going, songs. So I started my YouTube a long time ago, and now I have two different YouTubes. The first one, I would record my family forums, which was a meeting that I would have every month with my families when I was in the classroom. For those families that couldn't make it, and I would upload it to YouTube. Again, it was private. And so if they couldn't make it to the live meeting, we could do it through YouTube. And I would record readings of myself so that children could have a book read to them every night in case their parents couldn't read. And they could just turn me on and I would read that to them. And now I use it to share videos of professional development to college students. So that's what the two different YouTube channels are. And YouTube has a lot of different uses, but you have to find what works for you. How would you use YouTube? And maybe this one wouldn't work for you, but Twitter and Instagram would. You just have to find what niche works best for you. All right, I am going to talk about one that I have not done yet. If I was actually in a classroom environment with desks and students and bulletin boards, I would definitely be using TikTok. TikTok has 1 billion users right now. So I have been on TikTok and I have seen what people are doing. And there are teachers on TikTok sharing lessons, showing classroom setup, teaching, and creating content daily. When we think about the lesson plans that we are writing, that is content, right? So why wouldn't we be on sharing it? We didn't even realize that we were making content. And now teachers are sharing their content with each other. So the platform initially only allowed up to 60 seconds for each video created, forcing teachers to stick to the main ideas to get their point across. But now TikTok has implemented a 3-minute video feature for creators, thus allowing teachers to pack in even more content within their micro lessons. So if you do a quick search of teachers using TikTok, it will bring up thousands of innovative educators using a social media platform to teach their students. So I want you to stop, because TikTok's not new, but it's relatively new compared to all the other ones that I've talked about today, right? So I want you to stop and think about, how could you use TikTok with your students right now? How could you use TikTok to ensure that your families are updated, to ensure that you are using the most up-to-date things that can get your students involved? So it's one I haven't started yet, but one I wanted to make sure that I covered today. And I do want you, when we get off here, to Google teachers using TikTok and see all of the amazing things that they're doing. Okay, so you might be mind boggled right now, and that's not how I want you to leave this session. I want you to stop and think about any of these that would work for you. How would they work for you? I want to remind you, I didn't just throw these together in a day, a week, or even a year. I've been working on my social media presence for over 10 years, and those are for my own professional sites. I only do them to engage my families, my students, to share ideas, resources, and to be visible outside the classroom, because honestly, they take a lot of time. So I could just go into my classroom and teach my students, but I want to be professionally engaged with learning communities that help not only build my knowledge, but also my families and my students. So all of these different networking social media sites help you stay connected. Okay, so don't forget that using social media with older students provides them the opportunity to improve their digital professionalism, and it helps you connect with families. So I wanted to share a few comments. This is qualitative data from evaluations that I've had. These are only a few comments that I pulled from my evaluations, and I wanted to show you how how important it's been in my classrooms when I've been teaching my college students. I've highlighted what was said about the resources I shared, but I wanted to share the entire comment because as you can see, words like daily, words like resources, above and beyond, pushed us, made us think outside the box, ready for future jobs, reaching out, valuable information. Those were all important parts of it. Because when I think about why I use my social media, I use it for these reasons. I use it so that my students know I'm connected. I want to be visible daily. I want them to have resources that aren't just in a textbook. I want them to have opportunities to go out and find other professionals to connect with, because that might be how they get a job someday. I want them to have everything at their fingertips that they can. And social media is a valuable and vital part of what we are doing. We are educators, right? We're working with older students, we're working with younger students, we're working with families, other teachers, other administrators. How can we not use these to build relationships, to make sure that we're sharing ideas, to make sure we're always visible? And I hope that you can hear the passion in my voice that I have about using social media, because it's not going away. It makes you innovative. It makes you have to think. It makes you have to go outside of your box and find new things. It makes you have a growth mindset as a professional, no matter if you're working with older students, no matter if you're working with young students or families. So I want us to stop here and I want us to chat for a minute, okay? I want us to chat about, what can I commit to trying today? What can I commit to doing that will help my families, that will help my students, whoever you work with? What would your professional footprint look like in social media? And I want you to share, what are you already doing? I don't know if you can come online and chat. I'm going to go ahead and stop the recording for just a second because I do want to hear your professional ideas.